Good morning and welcome to the AlabamaWorks webinar series, a monthly webinar designed to provide information and speakers related to the workforce in Alabama. Past webinars are available on the AlabamaWorks website at alabamaworks.com. And now your host, Tim McCartney, Chair of the Alabama Workforce Council.
Good morning and welcome to the March 2023 Alabama Workforce Council monthly webinar hosted by AlabamaWorks. We have an exciting lineup today. We have 3 speakers who will cover a lot of information in a short time that we're together. Our first speaker will be retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Chris Stricklin, who is president of Dunn University in Birmingham. Chris is going to talk about addressing the needs in the construction industry. Chris is also a fellow member of the Alabama Workforce Council, and I'm very honored to serve with him on the council. Our following speaker will be Anne Marie Carr, who is Executive Director of the Southeast Alabama Works. She will provide us an update about all the exciting initiatives and programs that are in progress in Region 6, which is down around the Wiregrass area. And last, but certainly not least, we are pleased to have Mrs. Melanie Anderson, who is the Executive Vice President of the National Association of Workforce Boards. She's going to update us about the national workforce programs. So without further delay, Chris, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Tim, for what you do for our workforce in Alabama and for the opportunity to spend some time with you here today. I would like to start off by introducing the Dunn companies that I work for and that empowers me to go out and work with the team like you do. But a better way to do it than me talk about it is start off with our opening video. So it's always the best, I find, to put it to a soundtrack, get you fired up in the morning like a cup of coffee. But you see through that video, construction is so much more than what the normal person thinks about behind the scenes. And as you and I talk about all the time, as we are trying to make better in Alabama, we have to look at what are the needs in construction. What are the needs across the different construction industries as we go through? And I'll tell you, as I travel around talking and meeting people, this is what most people answer almost every time. The needs in construction are heavy equipment operators. And don't get me wrong, we do need heavy equipment operators, but the needs are so much greater across all the construction industries. And instead of me explaining it to you, let's go to one of our youngest employees as she was asked what the construction industry holds for her.
It's hard to figure out what you want to do in life when you're going out of high school. But when I came to the construction industry, I saw so many opportunities that were right before me. It was amazing to see what I could actually be doing. I could be in the office, I could be out on equipment. There are so many ways you can go about this.
I think that's amazing. So fortunately for me, that is my youngest daughter as she's coming into the industry, which tells you a lot. Because what I see as people are going through things is if you like your job in the industry you're in, you tend to pull in your children, you tend to pull in your family, and you pull in your friends. So as you look across Dunn companies and heavy equipment at large, a lot of the things people don't think about are drivers, both people on the road and local drivers driving triaxle dump trucks, driving aggregate around, driving material around. We have accountants, project managers that are all college graduates, project managers that come in and manage multi-million-dollar projects, all the way down to IT, information technology, because everything nowadays is run by computers. We all know that. We're sitting on a computer right now having this conversation. And I think there is so much out there that people don't realize in the construction industry and really in every industry. Some of the training we're doing in-house, so we use a VR headset you see in the top left. We train everything from how to make a oil change on our equipment all the way through how to run heavy equipment, how to use tape measures, how to read blueprints. We have people build mock-up buildings before they're out on real job sites. It's hands-on training in addition to the studying that we have to do. But I want to focus on one other project we've had over recent years. So a few years ago, some people that are trying to make a difference in the workforce were sitting around at a convention, doing what conventions tend to do, which is not moving at a very fast speed. And we were at a coffee pot talking about it, and we decided we wanted to move faster. We wanted more deliverable, immediate results than we were seeing in the group we were in. And it just so happens one of the leaders of the community college system was there. And he said, we've got 40 acres down in Chilton County that are built up, trees, everything. We're not doing anything with it. Do you think that could do something? And so we started meeting every month, getting together, shutting the door, pouring a cup of coffee in front of a whiteboard and mapping out what an immediate need we could address was. And I'll show you on these grounds what we started with. You see that little white square down at the bottom? We took these 40 acres and we started a heavy equipment operator course. And what we did is we had industry partners sitting in the room as well as the community college. And we mapped out what we wanted in a new employee in the first 2 weeks of employment. The first 2 weeks, they're not experts. They don't know everything, but they know how to check the oil. They know how to do the pre-trip inspection. They know how to wear safety equipment safely. And we started with one load of aggregate, a big load of rocks out there, and a piece of equipment. And we used that equipment to clear this off. And now it is one of the state-of-the-art truck driving schools in Alabama. It is the one others are being mapped off of. 3/4 mile, left turns, right turns, up hills, down hills, along with the pad you see there in front of you. That pad is where they can practice parking 18-wheelers, moving equipment as we're moving forward. And this, our first class of 12 people. So how does this help the construction industry? One of the requirements of these 12 people is 8 of them can be people in the industry upskilling, getting better at what they do, but 4 of them are required to be from outside the industry coming in so that we're building a better workforce going forward. And when they get the certificate, stamped by the Alabama Community College System and Jefferson State in this case, it's something they wear proudly. It's something they hang on their wall, they show their families, and it gives them a skill set that when they come into the construction industry, they start at a higher base pay than people who come in straight off the street. You can look it up. Jeff State and Industry Partners Launch Heavy Equipment Program. Incredibly proud of this one. There's a video down at the bottom of that page that details what it is. Now, every class they run has a waiting list of people to get in. It has a waiting list of people wanting to learn to run heavy equipment. This first class was a wheeled loader and a mini excavator. It went on to be so much more, as we're going to talk about. So now it is a skid steer program. And you see the video rolling in the background. Here's the innovation of it. You take theory online on demand, generated by industry partners, signed off on by the community college system, online on demand for working adults to upskill themselves. Once you finish the theory portion, you get 2 days of seat training in the equipment. This is actually the pilot class that went in January to prove the concept. Everybody gets plenty of experience. Before we started doing this class, this was just grassy area out there. When we finished, it was a road that took cars to the back part of the Jeff State parking lot. So as you look at that, these are the certificates. Yes, I went through the first class because I wanted to understand how we were teaching this to our students. The post you see on the left side from Jefferson State is that pilot program of the first people that went through. It also includes one of our Alabama congressmen who's sitting in Montgomery and has committed to try to get some line item funding for these type of heavy equipment classes going forward. Now let's talk about that certificate you see up there. Heavy equipment skid steer. So I want to take it away from us and I want to talk about somebody that I met. In that first class, it's cold, it's January, we're on the side of the road down at Jeff State Chilton campus, and a car pulls up. A gentleman gets out and goes over and talks to the instructor. Talks to him for about 10 or 15 minutes. He's walking back toward the car, and I asked the instructor, I said, hey, who was that? And he goes, oh, it was one of my former students. He was one of the people in the pilot class of the first heavy equipment wheeled loader class. And he said, I want you to meet him. And he brought him over, and Godfrey said, let me tell you what this class meant to me. He said, I was a concrete worker, a concrete finisher, but I wanted more for myself and my family. And he said, I wanted to start my own company. So I'm later in life and I go out, and the first thing you have to do is borrow some money to get some equipment to get started. And he goes, the bank rejected me. He said, the bank rejected me because they said, you're not certified to do any of this. We don't care if you've been doing it for X number of years. We need to know that you know how to do what you're doing. And Godfrey said, at that point, I was kind of lost. I started looking around trying to figure out how to do this. And he said, I found this class down at Jeff State. I was able to enroll in it. It was paid for by a grant, so it didn't cost me any money out of my pocket. And after getting certified, after getting that certificate of being a heavy equipment operator, I took that certificate back to the bank. He said, I took them back and said, here's my certification. I know how to do it. And the bank didn't miss a beat. They said, perfect. We'll approve your loan. And he opened his company. He now has about 5 or 6 employees. And as he was going through the wintertime, because this was January, one of the challenges in construction is when the weather's cold and it's rainy, we don't have that much work. And so it's inconsistent. This gentleman said this made such a big deal in his life that he paid all of his employees 60% of their salary, even if they didn't work for long periods due to bad weather. That is amazing. And he looked at me and he said, this class, this community college class that I had the opportunity to enroll in, that you, the system, trusted me to invest in me, made my family better, is making my community better, and will change generations of my kids going forward. So please pass on this story as a thank you to everybody, because this is what this class means to working adults and children trying to find careers. The last part here as we wrap up, also as part of this program, many community colleges in Alabama have CDLs, commercial driver's license simulators. But in the past, they've always been in a building. They're kind of underutilized, my words, not theirs. But there's a way to get more. So Jeff State, we got a grant together as part of their CDL program. We put the simulator in a trailer that's completely self-sustaining. This has a generator, an air conditioner, a training room in there. So when they pull up, you see that picture on the right side. That's what the simulator looks back in the back of this trailer. And so what this means is when they're not teaching CDL classes, I, as an industry partner, can sign a contract and bring it out to my locations to put my drivers through for continuation training, to remind them all those things that they may have forgotten over the years and make all of our roads safer. This went even further into a heavy equipment simulator that you see here. This is a different trailer that has a piece of equipment on it that simulates 13 different pieces of heavy equipment so that students can learn how to do this the right way before they get on the equipment. We call it a safe place to learn. We can also put experienced people in there and hone their skills and make them even better at what they do. This is what it's grown into over the last 3.5 years. The Innovation Center stood up. We're starting to make different classes. You see the list on the right-hand side there. And the other agreement for the community colleges is this is not proprietary. Every community college that wants it gets it. So in 20 of our 24 community colleges across the state of Alabama, you can take online, on-demand theory classes and then go to the local community college wherever it's convenient to you to finish off that license or certification. Incredibly proud of how fast this has grown as we're going forward. So as we look around today, all of you spending your time talking about workforce, here's my challenge to us and to everybody listening, is the future is about teamwork. We have to work together because this is about all of us, not any one of us individual. And as we built that heavy equipment class, I will tell you, we had competitors sitting in the room. The agreement was when we were in that conference room, we were going to work together as a team to make Alabama better, to make Alabama lead the nation in workforce development. And when we walked out of that room, then we could battle over who hired them. But if there wasn't a workforce to fight over, it's going to hurt us all down the road. So as we finish up, Tim, thanks for the time here to talk to the group here. And my challenge to everybody is you have to start somewhere. Go out and make a difference in the area of influence you have to help us make Alabama better.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. That's a great message, and I appreciate all the work you've done. I think we've known each other for 2 or 3 years now, and you've made an incredible difference in our state and our workforce. And keep up the good work. We're really thankful for your leadership and helping create solutions for the people of Alabama.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir. Anne Marie, you are next. You have the floor.
Sorry about that. I had to unmute myself. Thanks for letting me join. For those that are on the call, I am Anne Marie Carr. I'm with Region 6, which is in Southeast Alabama. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, give me one moment. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Are y'all seeing that? Okay, great.
Yes.
So we're down here in the southeasternmost portion of the state. And we have 10 counties that cover our region. We're not the largest regional workforce council, but we're not the smallest either. And so we do have a lot of rural territory that is within our borders. We also team up with our partnering states in Florida and Georgia because a lot of that workforce commutes to our region to work, and also take advantage of our community college system to participate in training. So we try to tackle use of resources across state lines. They've got WIO dollars; those are federal, so we want to use their federal WIO dollars on our businesses and our students in our region. So just a little bit about our team. I have a dream team. I really cannot brag enough on the group of ladies that work with me. Hayden Camp is our most recent hire. She was actually a director of membership for the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce, and I was able to convince her to come and work with us over here at Southeast Alabama Works. And in fact, we were in the same building as the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce, so it was just a natural fit. She's been with us for a long time, working on WOW and various business and industry initiatives. So it was just a natural move, and that was because our education coordinator Melanie Hill took a position with our now U.S. Senator Katie Boyd Britt, and so we're very fortunate to have some resources available there to have those connections. Catherine Smith was a hire last March. She is in our Andalusia, Greenville, and Luverne offices. She's been a tremendous value to us. In fact, she recently got notified from the Lurleen B. Wallace Community College that she is a nominee for their Strong Her. It's a play on words, if you will, for advancing the cause for our rural initiatives in their area. And so she's in 1 year, she's had tremendous effect. Madison Ward's a marketing intern. That's your work-based learning in motion. She's been with us for a few years, and I don't know why Katie Thomas is. Oh, I know why. I used a slide. I hate to say this. I used a slide that I had from one of our last presentations, and I had a picture of Katie, who was on vacation at that time. And so Katie, I'm sorry if you're listening that I didn't catch that this morning, but Katie Thomas is our marketing extraordinaire, and Madison has been under her supervision. And so together they're the ones that put our state of the workforce reports, our newsletters, our marketing campaigns for business and industry at no cost. And so if you're not signed up for our newsletter, you need to do that because they do tremendous work. And then Trudy Boyd is our AIDT Regional Workforce Council Liaison. She's also housed in this office with Hayden and myself. So some of the things that, based on direction that we received from the Alabama Workforce Council, we tackle a lot of different initiatives, all geared towards trying to provide a workforce pipeline for our business and industry. They're our number one customer, and so we work very closely with our business and industry communities. We're members of all of our Chamber of Commerce organizations within our region. We also work very closely with our economic developers. And so we do it in a number of fashions. And so we work with our industry clusters. Sometimes those contain specific industries like construction and construction alone. In fact, last Monday, I presented to the the AGC local chapter with the contractors here in the Wiregrass, and we talked about some of the things that our region is facing, our state is facing, our nation, and then some of the solutions that we're trying to support here through the workforce councils. We also are getting ready to put out our community college request for proposal, and one of those will contain a request for some construction training. mainly basics. A lot of I think Tim and Chris, y'all could probably, any business and industry that's on this call could probably agree that the number one thing is, will they show up for work? Will they stay committed, and be consistent with their motivation in working? And then a lot of it, is on the job training. And so we're looking though, so there are some skills gaps, and so we want to take advantage of this opportunity to provide our community college system opportunities to put together some training or enhance what they already have. And then something else that we've done that this year was we have business workforce academies where we try to take our business and industry into our career tech centers as well as our community colleges. It's not unique to have regional workforce council meetings at the community colleges, but this coming Thursday, we are going to be at the LBW, Lurling B. Wallace Community College in Opp. And the focus is to take tours of all of their programs, because a lot of our board members, especially the ones that aren't from their service area, have never actually had opportunities to see what they have going on, and they're doing wonderful things. We'll follow that up in the summer with our Alabama Aviation College, and then in the fall with Wallace Community College in Dothan. We also have had opportunities where our CTE classes, our career tech classes in the local area will come and present. I kind of waited last minute this time to try to get that together. But what we want to do is keep reminding our business and industry folks of what's going on in our local education partnerships, because they need to be involved. They really got to start tapping into those resources, because that's where the talent is. And then we also have done our group, not me, I wish I could take credit, but my team has been phenomenal in working in our local high schools to do some professional etiquette classes. They have, it came from, I think Katie has done a lot with youth leadership. And so she's kind of taken that, owned it and perfected it. And then she's helped our other team members try to implement it. But what she's doing is, you're going into the classes, you're talking about professional etiquette and communication skills, and not just in the work environment, but just in a social environment. And so they do some classes where they practice amongst each other, and then they come back together at a formal lunch or dinner. That's usually sponsored by one of our local business and industry partners, and they bring business and industry in. And so these young people are put into situations where they're having to practice what they've been taught in these classes, and then they're actually interacting with business and industry leaders that they've never had opportunity to engage with. And so to me, that's been tremendous. I asked for some numbers, and just this year alone, they've interacted with over 300 kids in 16 classes, and they've got more on the books before the end of the year, the school year. And this has been pretty phenomenal. Again, it's just another way of connecting, making that bridge between education and business, and preparing those students. So it goes beyond mock interviews. It goes beyond applications and resumes. It's more those communication skills, because we've been told many, many times they don't know how to communicate. And so we want to make sure that we're doing that. And it's not just with our high schools. Katie's been able to do this with some of our second chance programs, rehabilitation type groups, to be able to help them prepare to enter the workforce again. In our educator workforce academies, we've actually taken advantage of our 10 counties and looking at it from a local perspective. We have a great partnership with Troy University, and we brought in Auburn this year, so that we can offer professional development hours for our educators who don't need the PLU. If they have a certificate that only requires what I used to call CEUs when I was a teacher. We've been able to offer that through a partnership with Troy and Auburn. And so far, we've had 8 sessions in 8 different counties. We've got 2 more to go in April. We have 97 educators who've participated, and we've had 28 business and industry tours, numerous panels. And so the end goal for those educators is to learn about what's in their own backyard, figure out opportunities to get engaged with those business and industry so their students can learn more about those career opportunities. And then for the business and industry to learn about what are some of the challenges our educators are facing. And so we're just trying to strengthen those relationships. It's been a pretty good, robust program this year. And so we're looking forward to continuing that through the rest of the school year. And then next up, I wanted to play, I don't know any of you know Ty Rickard. He has helped, I know he was working with Jill Corbin and the Alabama Workforce Council on doing some things for some of their marketing. He was hired by our organization back when he was in high school. He is a career tech success story. He started out with a passion. He was supported by his educators. And through his hard work and initiatives, we hired him to do some videos. Well, we brought him back again this year. And so he did a video. He's working on the one for our East because we had two WOW sessions this year. And so this is the one from our West. We split our career discovery or worlds of work event, if you want to call that, into two different sessions. We did this last year because we wanted to give the students more time to engage. We also connected our 10th and 12th grade this year rather than the younger grades, only because we heard from business and industry, we need to get these students in now. So here is a video produced by Ty Rickard. And I hope it plays.
And the audio is not playing.
Oh, is it not?
Earlier, we had to reload and press the share audio button along with the share screen. So why don't you back up and try it? Well, we've got plenty of time to go.
How do I, okay. Share audio. Y'all gonna have to help me with this.
All right, so in your share, in your screen share.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then when you go back to share screen, on the bottom left-hand side, it'll say share audio.
Is that it? Can you hear it?
No, you have to end your presentation. And
I gotcha. I apologize.
You're fine.
No problem.
All right, let's try this again.
Okay, so when you go back and share, before you select your screen, on the bottom left, it's going to say share audio.
Oh, y'all have taught me. See, I learn something new every day. This is why I don't teach technology. So let me back up. We'll start over.
Okay.
Well, may not be. It just may not be meant to be. One of the things about the video, and I can't really, I don't do justice, is that he interviewed students, and we were able to capture that for them to talk about how these types of experiences have helped them. And so I hate that I can't share that with y'all. But it's on our Southeast WOW site, and it should be on our regular Regional Workforce Council site. So if you would like to see it, because it doesn't appear it's going to help me, then I would be glad to share that with anyone. It's really good, and we're going to have our WOW East one coming out very soon, so I apologize for that, because I know that the students and the educators in the business and industry are far better to listen to than I am. So I'm just going to move on. Oh, wait, there we go.
Perfect.
It's been a really good experience for me personally. I like how there's a lot of technical types of jobs and programs here.
Usually at this age, it's scary. You don't know what you're going to do. I only had a few things in mind, but I feel like this could really help most people.
It gives those businesses and industries a chance to discuss with students, to answer their questions about it, whether it's about their talent that's needed for that particular job or salaries perhaps.
A lot of these young individuals, they don't get to interact with people in these jobs, and they don't get to hear firsthand what these jobs are like.
All of their strengths are different, and they need to know what is out there to be offered outside of what they might see their parents do or they might see offered in their small community.
We're excited to see them take an interest in our utility work, but it also could be any type of career. What we're trying to do is build a better Alabama.
Got to get our plug in for all of our sponsors because they have been tremendous this year and they have really helped us to advance the cause, not just for our Worlds of Work event, all of our educator workforce academies, our student workforce academies, where we're taking students into school. So I mentioned that we were bringing business and industry into the classes and into the programs, but we're also taking our students we're taking that same educator workforce academy model and taking students. So we already have career coaches and CT directors and different teachers that are interested, but we're providing support through financial, through, just facilitating through business and industry so that we can take our students into the actual businesses to see, because WOW is an awesome thing, but then they get to take that to the next level and go into a business and industry and say, oh wow, this is a really cool environment, or wow, this is kind of hot and dusty, I don't know if I want to work here. So they make those decisions before they get on somebody's payroll, and then they have to, they decide to exit before they fully commit. And so far we've had 53 who have gone on tour. This is since Hayden's been on board. We've got scheduled 2 more coming up with different school systems with targeting about 100 students. And then we're planning to support our career tech directors and our career coaches with some additional things between now and the end of the school year, possibly some in the summer and then starting in the fall. And so one of the things that we've talked about is we had mentioned before in conversations is that we don't know how are we tracking this the return on investment, if you will, or the success. So we actually purchased a license for Career Fair Plus this year, which is used by Auburn University, University of Alabama, Birmingham, University of Alabama at their career fairs, so that you can kind of do that handshake. And we did that this year. It was a trial and error run. But our last event, our WOW East event, we had 84 vendors, but 80 of our employers showed up. We had at least one booth check-in. We had over almost 1,127 booth check-ins, which mean the students were interested in learning more about those individual partners. And so with that, we took that information and we've given that information to those individual vendors so that they can do some follow-up activities to reach out to those students, whether it be a community college looking at some potential dual enrollment students or graduating seniors that are going to go into, deciding what they're going to do. Same thing with our business and industry, possible job shadow, internships, and whatnot. And so finally, one of the things, since we were talking about construction on this call, we actually had our Home Builders Association partner with our Dothan Technology Center, which is one of the school systems here in our region. And their building construction instructor is incredible, Mr. Bob Griggs. He actually also works with them to teach the adult classes at night when they do those free classes to the community. And so they basically took they brought in a very base, you can see in the middle. It was really just the floor. They built the framing, they added in the windows, they, did all of the the siding, the roofing. I mean, it was a complete project that was built on site for WOW by those students and the students that came from different schools. Each one of them got, opportunities to handle all of those different tools. And this finished product, a lot of the materials were donated by our local business and industry partners. But the final product was going to be auctioned off, and those proceeds turn back into the building construction program at Dothan Technology Center. But this was a fabulous display of putting private-public partnerships together to showcase what can be done for a particular industry, different opportunities for jobs. And so it was one of our most popular booths that we had, and they actually won our most interactive operator world. They actually tied with one of our community colleges. So it was really incredible to see. And we hope to see more of this. We like seeing things like this. So finally, this Thursday is our regional summit at the LBW Community College campus in OP. We're gonna do our business stuff at the beginning, and then we're gonna follow up with a campus tour so that our business and industry partners can get an opportunity to see what fantastic things are going on in our community. Because when they get ready to vote on our ACCS, ICI special pot grants, they want to know what it is. How can I make a concerted effort to make a vote when I've never even been to that campus? And so this is just one of our, the ideas that my chair came up with, to be able to say that I'm making an educated decision when I'm voting on things that, impact our partner agencies. So with that, thank y'all for allowing me to be here and to share. And I apologize for my less than spectacular tech savvy abilities.
No problem, Anne Marie. Don't worry about that. We can edit that out for the recording. Right, Sonia?
Oh, I hope so.
Yes, that's correct.
We can get that. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's really inspiring to hear all the work that y'all are doing in Region 6. And we're thankful to have you and your staff on our team to meet our workforce goals. So thanks a lot, Anne Marie.
Thank you.
And good luck on your tour on the 16th. It sounds very exciting. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Melanie Anderson from the National Association of Workforce Boards. Melanie, are you ready to go?
I am. Thank you for having me. What I wanted to do this morning is just spend a few minutes talking about who we are, and then talk a little bit about some of the national trends that we're seeing in workforce and how they might apply to some of the work that you all are doing. So we at National Association of Workforce Boards, we are the National Association for the 576 state and local workforce boards located around the country. I think it's really important to think numbers here and the resource that business and industry has in their communities. There are 2,700 American job centers located across the country. You can compare that to there are 2,300 Home Depots. There are 1,920 Targets. So when you see those in your communities, you know you have an American Job Center there that is there to serve both job seekers and employers. We think of our work here in 4 buckets. One, we provide technical assistance and professional development to the entire workforce ecosystem, not just workforce boards, but those that are within the workforce system, so community colleges, economic development. We also do a lot of professional development. Like a lot of industries, we are making sure we are training the next generation of workforce leaders. We do a fair amount of policy work. What policy levers at the federal, but more and more the state and local level can we be pulling to allow workforce boards to better serve their communities? We also do a fair amount of communications. There is a number of workforce issues that are facing the system. So how can we collectively use our national voice to draw attention to those issues? And more we're playing a convener role. Chris earlier talked about that key collaboration piece, and workforce boards are natural conveners in their community. So we are helping boards across the country play that convener role as they bring different stakeholders together. Anne Marie did a fantastic job of talking about, the services and what local, boards are doing on the ground. So I don't need to do that, but I really do think it's important to think about, how both the boards are looking at, I think, two clients, the job seeker and business and industry. So they're serving both as they're looking at those labor market and regional trends that are going on. As we're looking from a national perspective and what we're thinking about, there are a couple of pieces that we are focusing on as we send this information out to our members. The first is funding. There's a lot of money flowing out of DC into state and local communities. One piece that we are watching very closely when we're looking at that funding, Anne Marie talked a lot about WIOA funding. There's a lot of money that is out there for workforce that is not traditionally coming out of the U.S. Department of Labor. It's coming out of other agencies, whether it's the Department of Commerce or the Department of Energy. We're watching those funding streams to make sure that those agencies are thinking of workforce issues. There's been a lot of attention focused on infrastructure projects. Those are great, and I'm glad that there's infrastructure dollars out there, but we want to make sure as business and industry is considering those projects, where are they getting the workforce to take on that work? So we're working with our federal partners to make sure as that money goes out, that there is funding available to think about training needs. We're also watching very closely and excited to see more conversation going on around certificates and credentials. Four-year degree is not the only path to success, and making sure that we are drawing attention to and making sure that business and industry is able to benefit from other short-term training options. Technology and workforce is a big part of the conversation. How are we using technology to serve both job seekers, but also employers in the workforce development conversation? And wraparound support services, we are spending a lot of time with other agencies as workforce boards are working to figure out how they address barriers to employment, including transportation, childcare. In some cases, workforce boards are taking on that role themselves. There's a workforce board, for example, in Wisconsin that decided to step up and put a consortium of businesses together, and they built a childcare center to do that for job seekers and businesses in their community. So how can we leverage some of the new funding out there and make it easier for boards to provide those important services? So that is a sort of a brief overview of what we're watching from the national level. We, send all this information out to the local boards, in Alabama, so everyone has that information. We're here as a resource. There's a number of resources on our website for business and industry, but you have, as Anne Marie said, she has a dream team, but I think you all across the state have a dream team of a public workforce system to guide the work that you all are doing.
Well, thank you so much, Melanie. Great information. You touched on two big items that we share with everybody else in the country, the transportation and childcare issues. So we're working on that. And I'd like to hear more. I'll reach out to you and hear more about the Wisconsin effort to develop childcare center, because that is a huge issue. Transportation actually polls higher than childcare in Alabama, but I think it's, you got to get to work first and then you worry about childcare. So I think once you have the transportation, childcare probably jumps up to be the number one thing. So
you're absolutely right.
And that crosses all economic lines. If you have a child and you have the parents working, it's an issue.
And it's one of those issues that we're excited to see in DC playing out in a bipartisan fashion. Everyone understands it's an issue, and there's been some really great work at the state level that I'm excited to see trying to be replicated at the federal level, because as often these days, the locals in the states have figured it out and we're learning from them.
Right. Well, we all need to learn from each other because we're all in it. As Chris said, we're all in it together. So thank you again for your presentation this morning. We appreciate it and look forward to working with you. And let us know if anybody at AlabamaWorks can be of assistance to you. So normally at this time, Nick Moore joins us and gives us our monthly labor update, but due to travel rank, I think he's traveling with the governor today. He's not available. And but he's promised me he'll be back in April to update us on the labor numbers. So that wraps up our program for today. Now, I wrote down some notes a little bit just to share with you. We've got a little bit more time from each of our speakers. I always learn from all the speakers, but Chris pointed out that it's a team effort. It's not just any one individual that can solve these issues for our workforce. So we need to work together, business and industry and governmental departments, particularly in the education community. So we need to take advantage, particularly those in business, we need to take advantage of our local educational assets, as I like to refer to them. That's K through 12, our community colleges, and also our four-year universities. They need your involvement. They need to hear from industry, and that's what the Workforce Council does primarily, but that's only 35 individuals that serve on that board. So we need more help from everybody in the industry, business and industry, to let your, number one, you serve on boards at each of those community colleges as far as, career technical programs. High schools are begging for help from industry. So if you haven't gotten involved, you need to get involved. If you're going to complain about we don't have a workforce and you're not involved, you don't have any reason to complain. So, and that's my view. There's just a lot to do. Melanie talked about the transportation and childcare. We have several groups working on that in Alabama right now. But if anybody has that secret formula, we need to all hear, because we're all in it together. Anne Marie, appreciate all the work you're doing down in Region 6. The workforce councils are vital to our effort. And I encourage everyone out there that's, number one, you need to know who your executive director for each workforce council is. There's 7 in the state. Every region has a workforce council, and each region has a executive director and a board of directors. So get involved. They need your help. They need your assistance.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. You did a great job. So thank you all for joining us this morning. And then, of course, you can see this this version of our monthly webinar on the AlabamaWorks website, AlabamaWorks.com. They're posted there. Sonia and her team do a great job on getting this program going and keeping us on air, so to speak. So thanks for watching, and please join in next month, which our webinar will be on Monday, April 10th, 9 o'clock. In the meantime, stay safe, and remember that if you think that you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito.